Are you happy with the progress you're all making?
Yeah, we are. We'd like to win some more games, but the progress is steady. I think it's certainly visible. So from that side of things, we've been working really hard on that consistency. It's quarter in, quarter out. So from that side of things, yeah, we're pleased with the progress that we're making, but certainly by no stretch are we satisfied.
David, this week, can I just ask, Ben and Harry McKay, is it going to happen?
Well, it's one of the scenarios, isn't it? We've got, a couple of good defenders down there that could potentially. So there'll definitely be a time where they're on each other. There's no escaping that. Whether or not, we'll set the brothers, for each other will yet to be determined. But the way our defence moves sometimes, it does have flexibility. You need to sort of cover different roles from that side of things. But yeah, there'll be a point in time where they're playing on each other.
They've been pretty good at chipping at each other along the journey about, Harry wanting to play on the best defender, etc. I mean, does that come into Ben's preparation for the game at all? Do you talk about that, or how do you sort of go?
Yeah, from time to time, probably not so much in regards to playing on his brother, and being a dad of twins, I totally understand the connection that twins have and the combative nature that they have. It's more around preparing to play on different types of forwards. So, Ben's preparation is obviously around the types of forwards that he plays on, how they access their ball movement. So, Harry's got a certain style that he moves with. No different than when Ben played on Hawkins. From that side of things. So, I think the preparation is more in the mode of the type of forward. To be honest with you, rather than playing on his brother this week.
And does Ben have good insights into Harry? I can imagine he does, and that surely helps preparation, given how well Harry's been going.
I hope so. I think as you're growing up, with each other, you see their games intimately. Now, they've both developed within different clubs and at different points, at different ends of the ground. So, you would like to think that there's some understanding of each other from both sides, really.
Does Ben Cunnington come back in this week?
Yeah, he does. So Ben did a load over the weekend, did a training session. So not a bad time for him to have a bit of a spell going into the last 4 or 5 games. But yeah, he'll be straight back in.
And Jed Anderson as well. He's been building up his loads in the BFL. Is he a possibility?
Yeah, I think both he and Jared are both chances, this week. So we'll look at the structure of that. Jared and Jed had a session here on Saturday morning with one of our staff members that stayed back. I think Boomer came in and did some footy work with them as well. So yeah, they're both ready for selection.
How's Aiden Core travelling at the moment, David? Is he any chance of playing again this season?
I think by the time we get to the end of this week or next week, we'll have a better gauge. It's probably still unlikely. He did a running session this week, so it was great to get him back out on the paddock. So we'll wait and see how he pulls up by the end of this week. So it's been a bit of a mixture of cross-training, a little bit of on-land training. So it's great to see him progress. We're just waiting to see how that foot settles over the first bit of loading. We'll have a better idea when we get through to the end of the weekend, I think.
How's everyone coping with the unusual situation everyone finds themselves in?
Well, I can only speak from our side, obviously, Rob, but I've been impressed with our players and our staff, how they've handled the manoeuvrability that you have to have. I think the sentiment of what we're in a really lucky situation compared to a lot of other people, aren't we? Let's be honest. We've got an ability to come in and train. We're still playing. Enjoying, what we have. We know our fans and the general public are doing it pretty tough right across the country in certain states. So, but yeah, look, they're coping well. We're getting on with business. We're making sure that the guys live by the protocols that are required, and things holding the way they are. We're fingers crossed that we can get to Tassie next week as well. So, but yeah, they're doing a terrific job, I think.
And Charlie Comben on the weekend, 4 goals in his first half after about 18 months out, I think it's been. Probably could have kicked maybe another 1 or 2 as well. How does he build up his loads in the VFL? And is there enough time in the AFL season for him to feature?
Yeah, I think the work that he's done prior to this, Jasper, in getting him to that point, we're really comfortable. So we'll track what we have done. We've tracked his loads really carefully. He was. I think what we loved about his game wasn't so much the goals, his movement, his reading of the play, his connection with how the ball sort of moved was something that really caught our eye. Is there enough time? Yeah, there probably is. There's certainly 5 weeks ahead of us to sort of see what capacity we've got from the big fella. We wouldn't discount it. We're certainly not going to risk it. At this stage, he's pulled up really well. There's no soreness. So he's going to need another few weeks to continue to sort of push his case. But yeah, I think internally we feel like there's enough time. Should his form be good? Should he warrant selection? So he's going to need to continue to show some good signs.
He feels like that perfect piece to kind of slot in next to Larky and Zerha, who are both in great form. Is that how you see it kind of going in the next year or so, and that's how the forward mix could look like at the start of next season? Yeah,
very possible. Jacob Edwards is another one. He's playing this weekend. We're lucky enough to get him into the VFL, but I think you're right. I think that mix of him, Big X, Jacob, that second tall, we're really keen to play that can do a bit of ruck and forward. So I'm really looking forward to what Charlie can do, not only in the next sort of 5 weeks, but in the next couple of years.
Larky does often get that number 1 defender each week. Has that fast-tracked his development? Do you think he's still only 23, but he's a super consistent goal scorer for a team that doesn't get that many forward entries compared to the opposition too many weeks?
I think it does, mate. I think they learn a lot by playing against the best. You have to develop your tools quickly when you're consistently coming up. What I've been impressed with Nick this year is his capacity to actually work, pull his game apart, understand where his strengths are, what he continues to need to grow, and make his strengths better. And then his preparation, I think, is really improved this year in knowing that he's got to take the number 1 defender each week. Look, I think the other thing that's helped him too, as we've got deeper into the year, our ball movement's been better. So, the patterns that he's able to run now, he's got a little bit more reliability and consistency with what we're doing with the ball. So I think that helps him as well.
David, the captain's obviously had a strong year and has embraced that role at halfback. Are you close to sort of securing him for next season? Like, there's no thought of him sort of moving on or retiring?
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so, John. We probably, now you get into this part of the year, there's pretty regular list management discussions. So he's certainly one that's, in our early thoughts in list management. So I'm sure within the next few weeks we'll have some further indications around, where we're going with all of our senior guys. So, but yeah, I'm sure Brady will be across that with you guys in the coming weeks.
And are you hoping to exploit Carlton's ruck setup? I mean, if Jack Silvani is their go-to again as a sort of a hybrid?
I thought he jumped pretty well, Rob. I don't know.
He did all right, didn't he?
Yeah, I think you've got to be really careful when you look at those guys that come in as the second ruck. You can underestimate them at your own peril. They bring... he brings a different skill set when you put him against Goldie compared to, to Conning. So you have to be really careful. Their capacity to move around the ground potentially gives them an advantage. So we'll still play with our two rucks. You'd like to think that might give you an advantage, but they've got to get their hands on the ball first.
David, obviously rebuilding and wins and losses aren't the main thing, but you've obviously had 3 wins, a big win over in Perth and a draw. Would that ultimate result leave you happy, or do you feel that there should be a couple more wins or at least one more before the end of the season as like a sort of a baseline pass mark, I guess, for the year?
Look, as we sit here, John, I'm probably not sure. I probably haven't reflected upon it, just at this point. We track our improvement regularly. We're chasing consistency with those quarters, as I sort of said to Rob before. I probably couldn't make an honest comment on that until we get to the end of the year, I think, and see what unfolds in the next 4 or 5 weeks. So There's certainly, we'd like to win more games, there's no doubt about in the back end of the year. We've got some teams that are in finals contention. They're always a great challenge to see that area that you've got to pitch yourself against, because they're starting to work themselves into maybe settling their team coming into the finals. We probably haven't sat and reflected at this point in time, and we certainly haven't reset where we're going for the last 4 or 5 weeks. More to say, more consistency with our offence and defence, more consistency in our quarters, and with an ounce of luck that reflects in some more wins.